I'm Abigail Mbuzi. I am the creator and executive producer of Mastoercook, Zambia.
Join us for a mouth-watering journey of passion, skill, and creativity as the heat rises in the Nesterouk Mastoercook Chefs Competition, where passion meets play. Don't miss it this summer.
And the founder and managing director of African Sunset's events, marketing, and promotions. Honestly, I think I started cooking when I was a kid. My mom was a caterer, so I grew up around cooking and food. So I've always loved food, trying out different recipes, and from the time I was young, I would bake. Anytime I needed pocket money or anything, my mom would say, why don't you bake and sell cakes? And so that's basically the kind of background that I grew up around. Obviously, I began my career first as a finance person and worked in finance for about 10-15 years. But while I was working, I kept thinking I really wanted to be my own boss. So the idea came to me once to say, I used to love watching cooking shows on TV, and I wondered why we didn't have a cooking show. And I began to start thinking about what it would take to put together a cooking show, talked to a couple of people. So it's been a couple of years in the making. Obviously, anytime you're starting something new, you have an idea, and then it takes a bit of time for it to actually get off the ground. Okay, well, initially when I started the business, when I registered the African Sunsets business, I registered it as a catering company. So initially I was working a full-time job as an accountant, and on the weekends I'd be catering for events, but it was a very hectic lifestyle, especially for the fact that I had small children at the time. So it was quite hectic. I also tried having like a small little Shima restaurant at Soweto Market. I also even did a butchery, a mobile kind of butchery business. So I think the idea wasn't fully formed, so I was working towards it and trying to see a trial and error kind of thing to get to the TV show. So I took a break from my career at some point, and then decided to go full-time into business. And when I did, the first initial thing that I did was business conferences. And we would put together different conference ideas and sell tickets and get corporates to pay for sponsorship opportunities on those conferences. So we had a conference called Brand Woman, and then over a couple of years, it also included Brand Man. These were conferences to do with personal branding. So obviously now what came into mind is that I had this corporate background and I still had this love for food and how to merge the two together. So in the course of doing the events business, I had a friend who was working on a travel expo. And at the travel expo, they asked for us to come up with some ideas of different things we could do at the travel expo. So the idea came up that obviously at this travel expo, all of the chefs from the different hotels and restaurants would all be there. So why don't we put together a cooking competition? So that was our first, let's say, putting our feet in the water of trying to see how we would actually put together a competition. So we did the competition over a period of a weekend, and it was so much fun. All the contestants had a great time. We had a great time. Even the people who had sponsored like all of the ingredients and all of that were like, this is brilliant, we should turn it into a show. And so from there, we had one sponsor who said, you know what, if you get started, I'll give you some cash to get going. And so this is how we started the whole competition. Decided to go to the different provinces. Initially, we started with 4 provinces before we did the actual finals for the TV show. And so that was fun. We got to travel a lot around the country and come up with the competition. I think it's a lot of great fun. We have a lot of fun. I think everybody who works on the show will agree that we're all one big happy family who are brought together, all of us, by the love of food. We have lots of fun on our road trips when we're traveling around the country doing preliminaries. We have lots of fun at the events and lots of good food, of course. Well, I must say creatives are very interesting people. They're people who really think outside the box and how to do a lot of things. And I've met a lot of great and talented creatives. Most of them ever so helpful, very helpful. Always wanting to be a part of the next big thing in Zambia and put in their 2 cents and their input on how, give us ideas on how we can grow the competition, how to make it more interesting, and just give us information on how to film the best and all the different practices. Of course, when I got into the industry, remember, I was coming from a finance background and a food background, so I had no idea about the production side of things. So everything now that I know is things that I have learned and have been taught to me by the different creatives that are in the industry. Okay, I always find this funny. I tell people, I said, when you're just starting something and it starts small, you have your hand in everything. So initially when we were starting out with the show, of course I had to do everything from buying groceries when we're filming, to managing the production guys, to the finances, to looking for sponsors and all of that. But of course now, as the competition has started to grow and the whole company has started to grow, we have different people in different departments who are all responsible for different things. And as it stands now, I'm more of the overseer of what things are going on, because obviously it makes no sense for me to be the one in charge of making payments to everybody, me being in charge of going to do the grocery shopping, the same person going out to go and look for sponsors and also manage the production. And ever since the business started now, from the show, we have other service lines of the business that have kind of grown around the show. We have the kids cooking in the schools, and we do kids parties. We also have a catering division where we cater for events, and we still have other events that we do. So I kind of oversee a team. So my job now is to oversee a larger team and get reports from everybody about how things are going. Well, obviously, looking at shows, the overseas shows like MasterChef and Hell's Kitchen and all of that. But of course, we always want to focus on our show Mastoercook in the context of the African setup, because even as Africans, we have our own food and culture around food that is very different from everywhere else in the world. And so especially as we've gotten into this season 5, we have really focused on our African food and African cultures around the food, and wanting to showcase this to a greater audience around the world. So for the chefs competition, what we do is every single year we have an open call, like from January, where we ask everybody who wants to take part in the competition to show up for auditions. And how we audition, we ask contestants to prepare a main dish and a dessert from home, and then come and present it to our panel of judges. So from those who come to present their food, we pick the best dishes and shortlist. And then after we have shortlisted, we'll call them again. In some cases, we'll call them again to come and cook for us, so that we actually see them cooking, get a sense of their personality and all of that. So it's quite a rigorous selection process. We actually do travel to all 10 provinces of Zambia to pick our finalists, so that this year, when we are saying this is Zambia's best chef, it really is the best chef that we found in Zambia. Um, there's always only one big challenge, and that is always finances. You know, in the industry that we're in right now in Zambia, I don't think there's enough liquidity, as in, for example, in the US, in the UK, or even in South Africa and Nigeria. You know, TV show budgets can be anything from, like, a proper TV show with everything 100% can be from about $150,000 upwards, even up to $10 million, depending on all the things you want to include in the show. So of course we are always working with very limited budgets and trying to make do with the best that we can do. It has been a very big challenge getting this show off the ground, obviously because maybe sometimes we've just had people not believing that it's something that we can do as Zambians, other people feeling that it's not a good investment for their brand. So we have had to sacrifice a lot of time, a lot of our own personal resources to really get this off the ground, because it's a project that we believe in, and we really believe that it's something that's going to blow up and be really big all across the African continent one day, with our focus being mainly on local African food and African traditions. In the next coming months, we're actually expanding the show into Kenya and Zimbabwe, so we're very excited about that. I always tell people, if I did Mastoercook for the money, I would have stopped doing it a long time ago. But it is just something, a cause that I'm very passionate about. It is something that I want to push. We're trying to push the brand as much as possible so that we have our very own homegrown Zambian brand that can be exported to the rest of the world. So like I said, with cooking shows, I think most of the cooking shows, the international cooking shows we watch on TV, their focus is on mainly European food. So we have really put our focus on talking about African food. You know, right now the world is turning upside down, in the sense that 10-20 years ago, people, all the fatty foods and all of that, everybody was eating galore. But now everyone is coming back to their roots, looking for organic food, vegan food. And to be honest, that completely 100% describes the African diet. We eat vegan foods. We eat vegetarian dishes. We have, most of our food is organic. And so everyone is looking to Africa now for various food choices. And so we want to show the world that African food is unique, it's tasty, it can be served in a fine dining setting, and it's something that people should look towards to be more healthy and more adventurous in their food. So one thing we have done with our show is make it not just a TV show that you sit and watch on TV. We've tried to make it so interactive that even people can actually come and attend our Mastoercook events and come and try out the contestants' food for themselves, and actually even be a judge. So every year with our fine dining night, we allow people to buy tickets to our event, where they will come and taste their food, give their thoughts on the food that they've eaten, and give their critique, which I know everybody loves. So I think that interaction we give people over the show is one of the things that everybody loves. Okay, so for the camera work, I would say most of that is done by the production team and the people that are heading the production department. For me, possibly, I would say like on my end, on the producer end, we do look at the set design and looking at suitable places for us to do the filming, places obviously that are big enough. Another thing that we try to do with our show is showcase the different restaurants and new spots around Lusaka. So we try as much as possible not just to showcase the food and the culture of Zambia, but also different destinations, including restaurants and other things. So we like to pick brand new restaurants that are trying to build up their brand to help them grow their brand with us as well. that is always one of the things that behind the scenes we're always arguing about with our production team, is as much as we are trying to be educative in everything that's going on, we still have to be entertaining. So we're always trying to come up with innovating new ideas to get it. I mean, it's like even with our kids show. So we have a kids show as well, and then with the kids we also try to make it interesting and entertaining for them to talk about food. So it's again, it's just about coming up with new ideas. Like for example, in our kids show, we take kids to go and see where food comes from. So for example, we took them last year to go and milk some cows, so that they can see how where the milk comes from, how it's turned into cheese and butter, so they can more understand some of the foods that they eat. Oh, there's so many. At this point, we're like 10 years and 5 seasons into the show. So there's so much that has happened behind the scenes. We've had funny moments, we've had sad moments, we have had exciting moments, we've had scary moments. It's always, you never know what to expect every season of the show. We have so many different people from different walks of life. We bring so many different people together, and that in itself is so much fun. And some of the stories I'm not allowed to tell. We have an unwritten rule that what happens on the road stays on the road. So my Mastoercook family will kill me if I start telling those stories. Obviously, so initially when we first began the show, I remember there was nothing like social media influencers or anything like that. And so this season in particular, we've really tried our best to engage social media influencers and their audiences to at least get to know about what we're doing with Mastoercook in Zambia and around the world, and also to give us insights on how to engage our audiences a lot more. So I think that is the number one new thing that we've done this season, is engaging lots of different social media influencers. So like I said, we are expanding the Mastoercook show into different African countries from next year, starting first with Kenya and Zimbabwe, and then we'll see what other countries we'll go to from there. We have been other than the TV shows, like I said, we have a lot of other service lines, and one of the main things we're doing as we're closing the year is putting together a cookbook with all the recipes of the show, the best recipes from the show from season 1 up to season 5. So at least that's something exciting. We're looking forward to launching the Mastoercook cookbook next year. So one thing I always tell people is sometimes when you're waiting for everything to be in place, you'll never get started. So sometimes start with what you have, even if it means beginning to film a social media series just on your iPhone. If that's what you have in your hand, start with that. You never know where it leads.